Stacy Stengel, and welcome back. I'm with Central State University Extension, and I'm here at Hoyt Road Farmers Market to demo some recipes that normally I'm working with participants in workshops around the community in East Cleveland, Euclid, and Cleveland. So we're offering some suggestions on things that you can do with products from the market, as well as easy things that come together quickly. They're nutritious, and you should be happy to be able to make yourself and share with friends and family when you can get back together. The two items that we're making at the moment, we're going to make a veggie skillet lasagna, and we're going to make beef and potatoes. So with the veggie lasagna, you can use a regular skillet or you can use an electric skillet. I'm going to use an electric skillet today. In most cases, in my classes, that's what we use because I don't need to have a kitchen to do my workshops. In fact, I bring all the utensils and equipment with me, and the participants that make the foods, I usually don't get very involved with making the recipe other than just doing some basic knife safety or hygiene and food safety kind of stuff. So with the skillet veggie lasagna, starting with, you're not going to put it on the heat at all until you have the lasagna built. And in the basic recipe, it has essentially spinach in it for the vegetable, but I've added some other ones as well, so you'll see me adding them into the recipe and skillet. So ahead of time, I had already cooked up the lasagna noodles, and so those are already pre-cooked, so make sure that you read the directions on the package. If you're going to use lasagna noodles, I feel can be a little intimidating because they're so large and don't fit in many pots well. So you can also use other pastas and just layer it like you would with the lasagna. You could use extra wide egg noodles and kind of sprinkle them around like they're a layer and build your lasagna that way. So the first thing that you need to do with the recipe is you need to take the cottage cheese, mix it with 1/4 of a cup of Parmesan cheese, and then a teaspoon of Italian seasoning, and just mix that together because that's going to be one of your parts. Make sure that you have it mixed really well. The difference between cottage cheese and ricotta cheese, which you might hear more often in recipes, is that ricotta was cottage cheese that just got strained again. So it's a drier cheese because they've taken more of the liquid out of it. In this case, this works well having more liquid in it for a recipe because it keeps it juicy. And so we have that now mixed up. The next step you want to do is spray your skillet with nonstick spray. And then we're going to take our easy marinara sauce and spread half of it into the bottom of the container. So just take, we're going to use 3 cups total, but in the meantime, we're only going to use 1.5 cups of it, and then spread that out, see how it, because you're going to have a thin coat on the bottom, and that's going to steam up through and cook our vegetables and the lasagna. Heat that up again, maybe a little bit more so we don't have any gaps. And then we're going to top with 4 of the lasagna noodles. You'll see it kind of tuck them in there. The lasagna noodles are a little bit longer than this skillet, so they're going to raise up a little bit, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. So we have a layer of our lasagna. And then we're going to take and put some plops of the mixture. Spread it lightly around. You don't want to get too crazy because lasagna noodles are going to move a bit. So I did spray them with nonstick spray after I cooked them so that they wouldn't stick together. And it makes them a little easier to handle. So taking half of my mixture, spreading it around in there. And then here's where, after you get the cheese, you're gonna add your vegetables. So in this case, there was the spinach, which is in the original recipe. So you're just gonna leaf them around, spread them. Make sure that before you use any fruits and vegetables in any recipes that you always wash them. And if they have a outside peel, that you scrub them down. In this case, I have carrots and green peppers, onions. All of those need to be cleaned before you prepare them for any of your recipes. With the carrots, I got the carrots from EC Farms here in Cleveland, and they gave me for $1 about a pound, and they were all different colors. There were purple and red and orange and yellow and cream colored carrots. So that's going to add a nice color to this. And then I have some onions. Sprinkle that around in there more. And then I have some bell peppers, yellow and green. Throwing some zucchini in here as well. So I got quite a layer here. I also got here at the market last week some mushrooms. So I sliced those up, so I'm spreading those around. And so this veggie lasagna really is going to have a lot of vegetables in it. And you can use whatever type that you like. Just look in your crisper and in your refrigerator, see what you got left over. Or, come to the market next Saturday, see what they have available, and build your recipe your own way. And then also I had an egg. So just slice up eggplant, put it around. And then you're gonna have, there's mozzarella cheese. So take and sprinkle half of that over top of your veggies. So now you've built your first layer of all of the different ingredients. And then so you repeat with all the remaining things. So we started with tomato sauce. So again, we're gonna put the other 1.5 cups. So see how easy it is? We're using up our marinara. The recipe makes about 8 cups, but it's very easy to use it in a lot of different recipes, in a lot of different ways. So we got that spread out. We have all of our tomato sauce. And then our next layer was, what was our next layer? Lasagna noodles, cottage cheese. So Matt Noodle didn't have a good day with me yesterday, so I'm a little broken. And then the last 4. I did them opposite than what I did the first layer. So they're going in a different direction. And then I'm going to put the rest of my cheese mixture, spread that out. So the cottage cheese was a low-fat cottage cheese. Really just to bring down the saturated fat in your diets. Choose an easy swap out is with dairies, choosing low-fat or non-fat, whether it's cottage cheese or yogurt or milk. Tuck that down in there so it doesn't burn to the side. And then spinach, and we already have in there, pasta sauce, and mozzarella cheese. Sprinkling that over top in with the mozzarella cheese. And then we're going to put it back here on the electric skillet base. Alright, turn it on, and we're going to turn it to 350. Cook for about 20 minutes until the cheese melts. I didn't know it was falling. Could have been anything. So we'll wait till that's bubbling, remove from heat, and let stand for 5 minutes before you serve it. So that'll let the heat cook through. So the other recipe that we're going to do right at the moment is beef and potatoes. And the first thing you need to do is brown the beef. So I started this earlier, so we're going to bring that back up to temperature. Remember to check the beef when you think it is finished. Ground beef needs to get to 165 degrees before you get started with it into too far of the recipe. So we're going to heat that back up. The recipe is essentially, has a cream base to it, and so we're going to be using our cream base that we created earlier, 3/4 of a cup of it, and to make the base amount, you're going to use 1.5 cups of water and 3/4 of a cup of base. We can in fact have used that in other recipes as well. We could have put this into the beefy mac because it brings up the calcium and vitamin D that would be in the recipes. We put a lot of spinach in some of our recipes, which spinach also brings to the plate some calcium, but it doesn't do the vitamin D. So our dairy products in different forms are going to bring the calcium and vitamin C to it. If you're lactose intolerant, there are other milk substitutes that you can use that will work as effectively and have been fortified with calcium. So we brought the ground beef back up. So I'm going to temp it, make sure that it gets to 165 degrees. Make sure when you're using a thermometer that you find the sweet spot where it's actually taking the temperature. On instant read stems, it has a little dimple, and the dimple is where the temperature is taken at. So in this case, we have reached 165. So we're ready to go move into the rest of the recipe. Make sure after you use your thermometer that you sanitize it before using it on anything else, because you don't want to cross-contaminate things. So we got our beef in here. In this case, this comes up here at the farm. Needham Farm sells, or at the market, Needham Farm sells ground beef. Ground beef is made here locally, or grown locally in Homerville. And the beef is essentially a 90-10, so there's very little fat that needs to come out. If you do need scoop out the fat and throw that away. Don't put it down the drain because it'll clog up your drain. So you don't need that bill from the plumber.
Make sure you cook it all the way down. I think the mistake people make when they drain ground beef is they cook it till it's gray and oily in its own juices.
Oh, yeah.
And then they drain off a lot of what isn't fat.
Right.
The juices from the meat. So
Right.
you want to brown it until it's not gray, but it's actually turning the color brown. Like
Right.
crayons or something.
Yeah, and
A lot of times you'll see people make gray meat, they'll say, I browned it.
no,
Brown
brown
is a-
and gray are different colors.
Different colors, so
That's right.
once you've reduced all that juice from the beef, it'll brown and become really flavorful. Then you drain the fat out because you no longer need it because it's already done its job, it's browned everything.
Mhm.
But don't pour off the meat juices because you're just making less flavorful ground beef then.
Right, right, and when you get to the temperature, that's gonna be an indication as well.
Right.
And so we've added carrots and mushrooms, green peppers, yellow peppers, and zucchini to this recipe. So I've gone a little bit beyond beef and potatoes. Added those in. And then the potatoes, I chose some red potatoes. Red potatoes have a thin skin on them, so all you need to do is just wash them really good with a produce brush and slice them up. You don't need to peel them. Some of the browns, though, potatoes, have a thicker skin, and so you may not want to keep all of that on there. But the skins have a lot of vitamins in them. So even if you're eating a baked potato, you're getting more vitamins by eating the skin, which is true of most fruits and vegetables. So this was about six potatoes I sliced up. One's almost getting away. So you just need to get them in, mix that up a little bit. Oh. Escape. Feeding it through, and then you're gonna pour the 1.5 cups of water, and then add the 3/4 cup of the cream base. Stir that up really well, because you want to get that cream base into the water and mixed. And then that's really essentially most of the prep that's involved. Get it stirred up, and then it's gonna sit on simmer for about a half an hour. So again, you have one skillet, one pot meal that you just could possibly pair other stuff with. Since potatoes are a starchy vegetable, they don't substitute for carbohydrates, but they are starchy. So if you are counting your grains, not all grains are created equal. And same thing with potatoes. Some potatoes are starchier than others. So we got it mixed up really well for the moment. I'm gonna put the lid on it. So bring to a boil. So we're gonna, I have it up pretty high. So it's gonna come to a boil, and then we're gonna turn it down to simmer. So the boil brings it up to cook things quicker and start the cooking process. And then the simmer is what's going to then keep it from burning to the bottom. So on our skillet back here, where it's already heating up, so our lasagna is looking especially good and tasty there. Some of the other things that we need to make note about with the mozzarella, if you want to save some money and also get some good quality cheeses, you can get the bricks and shred everything up yourself. And remember, I used low